Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Season and Serve blog. My name is Melissa and in today's video I'm giving you a tour of what our kitchen garden looks like in July. Despite the rainy weather that we had last month in June, July has been really warm and all of our plants and our cat Pearl have been loving the garden. Earlier this month we had some crops end, like our blueberries and our snap peas, but I'll show you how those looked, and luckily with all the warm weather more vegetables are coming, including our cucumbers, our zucchini, tomatoes, and lots of beautiful flowers. So if you want to see what our kitchen garden looks like this July, just keep on watching. So this is what our garden is currently looking like, a huge difference compared to last month. Everything is so green and full and lush, and I can't believe, honestly, that this is our garden. I'll start off by showing you the trellis because this was a big showstopper in the early days of July. And on this trellis I planted a variety of different peas, including super sugar snap peas, snow peas, and I also mixed in some sweet peas, which I think was such a good choice. The blend of sweet peas that I used this year was called Old Spice from West Coast Seeds. It had a variety of colors including burgundy, dark pink, light pink, purple, and white, and they were so beautiful and smelled so good. I'll definitely be adding sweet peas to the trellis again because it looked really nice intermixed with our super sugar snap peas and our snow peas. Now this year our pea crop was very productive. I've never experienced great production like I had this year. We harvested so many peas that I actually got almost to the point where I was tired of eating them, which is really tough to say because they are so sweet, crunchy, and delicious. They are so good. But sadly, all the peas are done now and the vines are starting to yellow and get brown, so I will be pulling those off and making way to train our butternut squash over this for the fall. Overall, it was a really great pea harvest and I can't wait for next year. Now I have lots more plants to show you, so we're going to start off in our first garden bed here, and I want to talk about our rose bush. This is a David Austin Tranquility Rose, and when I transplanted it I wasn't sure if it was going to do well the first year, but clearly it has proved me wrong. It has shot up multiple tall stems, some of them are reaching the top of the obelisk, and it's also producing lots of buds. Now sadly with roses, they don't stay in bloom for a long time, but this is what it looks like on the first day of the rose actually opening up, and this is what it looks like on the second day. So it really transforms really quickly and gets more of that beautiful frilly texture. Again, this is another rose on day 1 of it just opening, and this is what it looked like on day 2. So they transform super fast right before your eyes, and they are just so beautiful and so fragrant. I love this rose so much. And I'm really happy with the health of the rose. It has a nice deep green color. We had a bit of an aphid problem, which has kind of been resolved by the amount of spiders, but it's also producing all these beautiful buds, and I can't wait for this to bloom. I have to capture this and show you guys next month because this is going to be stunning. Now underneath our rose we have some peonies. These are just like first year peonies, so they're not going to bloom, but I also planted a little bit of white snapdragons just for a little bit more white color in the garden, and these are looking so beautiful, and there's tons more buds that are coming out. And then right next to that I planted out some scallions. These are just started from seed and they were ready to go out, so they're next to our rose bush. Now next up I want to show you our blueberry bush, and this bush produced so many blueberries despite the lack of foliage and stems that it has. We got a really good harvest off of it. As you can see, the blueberries were super big, they were so juicy and so sweet, and every single branch, whether it had leaves or not, was covered in blueberries. I was so impressed. So we had a really good blueberry harvest, and we got about probably 2 pints of blueberries just off of this one plant, which is pretty amazing. So over the summer I'm going to make sure to continue to fertilize our blueberry bush, get it all set up for next year so that it can give us lots more blueberries. Next to our blueberry bush we have a butternut squash plant, and this is starting to trail and grow out into the grass area, which I am so proud of. My goal is to train it up over the trellis and have all the butternut squash kind of hang down from it. It is going to look so good, and I'm so happy to see that there's little butternut squash starting to form. So hopefully in a few weeks the squash will set and start growing. Now behind our butternut squash we have 3 cucumber plants, and sadly I planted out cucumbers a little bit too early and 2 of my plants died, which was really sad, but I got new starts from the garden center. I got a Japanese long egg plant and a mini Persian cucumber plant, and they have just taken off. They actually got so big that we had to go out and buy a taller stake for them. And the stakes that we bought here are 7-foot tall stakes. And I'm actually curious to see if the cucumber plant will grow that tall. But here I'm training up the Japanese long cucumber plant. This is what it looks like. They're going to be massive cucumbers, so they need a tall space to grow on top of. And then the mini Persian cucumbers will stay a little bit smaller, but they are just so good. There's not a lot of seeds and they're delicious. The one plant that survived the cold and rainy weather was our lemon cucumber plant. It's kind of struggling and has a really weird growth habit where all of the flowers and fruit are clustering together into small areas, but I'm going to let it go and see what it does. And right next to our cucumbers, I planted a dill plant, and I started this a little bit too early and it's already blossomed and created its umbels, but I'm leaving it because all the pollinators really love it and they look really pretty. I did get a replacement dill plant and I planted that underneath this one, so when this one dies, the other one has space to grow. I also have a pot full of beautiful flowers. These are just some zinnias that started from seeds. These are the Oklahoma salmon and they are stunning. So can't wait for these to grow some more. Next we'll move on to our second garden bed, and in here the only plant that's the same that I won't show you is another butternut squash plant that'll be training over the trellis. But everything else is new and I can't wait to show you. Now the first plant I want to show you is a purple shiso. I didn't plant this was completely a volunteer plant. It grew by itself, so it's a fun little surprise and it's in a really good spot. And we also have a zucchini plant. This is a green zucchini that I picked up from a garden center. The zucchini that I originally had wasn't doing good, so I decided to replace it, and it is clearly thriving. It is massive, it has lots of beautiful flowers, and the fruit is starting to set, which makes me so excited for zucchini season. And next up, I want to talk about our tomatoes and how good these are doing this year. I can't believe it. They are absolutely massive. Again, we have to go out and get some bigger garden stakes for the tomatoes. These are 7-foot tall garden stakes. And I definitely think that all 4 varieties that I planted are going to reach the top of the stake. So if you want to see if it does, hit that subscribe button because we are on a tomato journey this year. But all the plants are starting to set fruit. This is our sun gold cherry tomato, and this is our sweet million cherry tomato. Those are the first ones. Normally cherry tomatoes do take a little bit less time to set their fruit. So we have lots of fruit coming. We also have lots of flowers on our pink brandywine and mortgage lifter heirloom varieties. Once again, I'm really happy with the health of these plants. They are really nice and dark green now. In June they were struggling with the cold weather, but now they've fully recovered and they are thriving. And once again, just like previous garden years, I've underplanted all of our tomatoes with basil. Basil and tomatoes are great companion plants, and obviously they taste really good together, so I decided to load up the bottom of our garden bed with tons of different basil. I have lots of different varieties, including this really beautiful dark purple opal basil. It tastes just like regular basil but has a beautiful purple color. And of course I always have the Italian Genovese basil, which I always use to make pesto. And then I also have a Thai basil called Siam Queen. This is really great for Thai cooking, which I like to do a lot of in the summer. That's it for the second garden bed, but before I show you the rest of the garden, I want to let you in on a critter that has been in our garden recently. And there are moles. I didn't know that we had moles in our neighborhood, but they exist. There are lots of tunnels around our garden beds. Luckily, none of the plants have been damaged by the moles tunneling, so I'm gonna keep an eye out, make sure the plants are looking good. But yeah, I never expected there to be moles in the middle of the city. Next up, I'm going to show you our potted herb garden, and we're starting off with some mint. Again, the mint was kind of struggling back in June when it was cold, but now that it's warmed up, it is just kind of growing like crazy. Our bay tree is also doing really well, but our borage sadly seems to be done. This borage grew like crazy. It produced so many beautiful flowers, but I am holding out for it because it is shooting little stems out the side, so I want to see what it does, so I'll be leaving this for a little bit longer. Now our cat pearl is sitting next to our taro plant, and again, this has been doing well with the warm weather. It is a warm climate plant, and at least every week it produces a new leaf, and the leaves are massive. They are bigger than the size of my hand. They are almost as big as pearl actually, but they are dark green. It's super healthy, and I'm very excited to see if we get some taro this year. Moving over into our little herb barrel, we have some sage that is coming back. It is flowering for the second time. I have a new cilantro plant because the old one I planted bolted. The sorrel is doing really well. The leaves are much bigger, and the thyme and parsley are also beautiful, green, and lush. And next up, I want to present to you Pearl's Pepper Patch. These two raised garden beds that we got from Costco are full of beautiful peppers. And these peppers are by far some of the best peppers I've ever grown in my life. They're at least 2.5, they're almost 3 feet tall, and they're loaded with lots of flowers and peppers that are starting to grow. In terms of pepper varieties that I'm growing, I have jalapeno peppers, pepperoncini peppers, and then I also have some spicier varieties like habanero and scotch bonnet. I accidentally broke the top off my scotch bonnet pepper plant, but you can see it's fully recovered and it's really starting to branch out. So that's it for Pearl's Pepper Patch for now. I can't wait to update you in August where lots of peppers will be growing and I'll be able to harvest some. And of course, Pearl will be out on her paw troll watching her pepper patch. So that is it for our July garden tour. I'm so happy with the progress of our garden so far and how lush and how productive it's been. Just goes to show you can garden in any space no matter what the size, and you can have a beautiful and productive garden. So if you want to see what the garden looks like in August, make sure you hit the red subscribe button down below and also check out my blog for lots of delicious seasonal recipes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!